Right now, you're exhausting yourself trying to appear confident. But what if I told you that real confidence requires less effort, not more? In the next 35 minutes, you'll learn why everything you've been taught about confidence is backwards, and discover the 7 internal shifts that make confidence automatic instead of exhausting. Listen closely, because what I'm about to share contradicts everything mainstream advice tells you about confidence. You've been taught that confidence is something you build by pumping yourself up, by repeating affirmations, by fake it till you make it. But here's what nobody tells you: that approach creates performance anxiety, not actual confidence. Real confidence isn't loud. It isn't aggressive. It isn't the person dominating every conversation or taking up the most space in every room. Genuine confidence is the engineer who says, "I need to research that before I give you an answer," without their voice shaking. It's the manager who admits, "I made the wrong call on that project," without their authority diminishing. It's the friend who can sit in complete silence without feeling compelled to fill it with nervous chatter. If you've ever felt exhausted after social interactions, if you replay conversations for days wondering if you said the right thing, if you find yourself constantly adjusting your personality based on who's in the room, this is for you. Because confidence isn't about adding more behaviors to your repertoire. It's about removing the interference that's blocking your natural state. Before we begin, here's what this requires from you: honest self-reflection. I'm not here to give you 3 quick tips you'll forget by tomorrow. We're building something structural. Each principle connects to the next. If you skip ahead or half listen, you'll miss the foundation. If this already resonates, do me a favor. Like this video so more people can find it. Share it with someone who's been dimming their light for too long. Subscribe if you want more content on building genuine inner strength. And drop a comment. I read them all, and your engagement helps this message reach the people who need it most. Let's begin with a commitment. Type this if you're ready: I'm done performing. Principle 1. Replace impression management with authentic presence. Here's a question that might sting. How much of your daily energy goes into managing what other people think of you? Be honest. How often do you rehearse simple conversations before having them? Monitor your facial expressions to make sure you look interested, engaged, or unbothered. Calculate how long to wait before responding to a text so you don't seem too eager or too distant. Curate your social media presence to project a specific image. Adjust your opinions based on who's in the room. This is called impression management, and it's exhausting. It's also the opposite of confidence. Psychologists have studied this phenomenon extensively. When you're in impression management mode, you're essentially running 2 programs simultaneously: the actual interaction and the monitoring system evaluating how you're coming across. This split attention drains cognitive resources, which is why you feel depleted after situations that should have been simple. Confident people have largely abandoned impression management. Not because they don't care what anyone thinks, that's sociopathy, not confidence, but because they've made a calculated decision: the cost of constant monitoring exceeds its benefits. Think about someone you deeply respect. Chances are, they're not trying to impress you. They're not performing. They're simply present. They might be awkward sometimes. They might say things that don't land. They might have opinions that aren't universally popular. But there's a solidity to them that makes you trust them more than people who seem polished but hollow. Here's the shift: instead of asking, "How am I coming across?" start asking, "Am I being honest right now?" Instead of, "What do they think of me?" ask, "What do I actually think about this situation?" Instead of, "Did I say the right thing?" ask, "Did I say what I meant?" This reorientation changes everything. Because when you stop managing impressions, that freed up attention returns to you. You become more present. You notice more. You respond more genuinely. And paradoxically, people trust you more because they can sense you're not performing. I'm not suggesting you become brutally tactless or disregard social norms. I'm suggesting you stop torturing yourself with constant self-surveillance. Try this experiment for 1 week. In low-stakes interactions, stop monitoring yourself. Stop calculating how you're coming across. Just be in the conversation. Notice what happens. You'll probably find that your feared outcomes, people judging you, interactions going badly, rarely materialize. And when they do, they're far less catastrophic than your anxiety predicted. The mathematician and philosopher Blaise Pascal wrote, "All of humanity's problems stem from man's inability to sit quietly in a room alone." He understood something crucial: discomfort with yourself creates the need for external validation. When you're comfortable in your own presence, you don't need constant reassurance from others. Confidence begins when you stop auditioning for approval and start existing as you are. If you're tired of performing, write this: I show up as I am. Principle 2. Build unshakable boundaries through consistent enforcement. Let's address something uncomfortable. Your boundaries are probably weak, inconsistent, or non-existent. I don't mean this as an insult. Most people's boundaries are compromised because they were taught that having boundaries makes them difficult, high maintenance, or unkind. But here's what weak boundaries actually create: resentment, exhaustion, and the complete erosion of self-trust. Every time you say yes when you mean no, you send a message to your nervous system: my needs are negotiable. I can be overridden. Over time, this becomes your internal operating system. You stop even knowing what you want because you've spent so long prioritizing everyone else's comfort over your own. Boundaries aren't walls. They're not hostility. They're simply clear information about what you will and won't accept. They're the difference between a house and a pile of materials. Without boundaries, you're structurally unsound. Here's what most people get wrong: they think boundaries are about controlling other people's behavior. They're not. Boundaries are about defining your own behavior in response to situations. You cannot control whether someone respects your time. But you can control whether you continue making yourself available to someone who repeatedly disregards it. You cannot control whether someone takes responsibility for their actions. But you can control whether you keep accepting their excuses. You cannot control whether someone speaks to you disrespectfully. But you can control whether you continue the conversation when they do. The formula is simple: state the boundary once, clearly and calmly. Then enforce it through your actions, not through repeated explanations. For example, I don't respond to work messages after 7 p.m. Then don't respond to work messages after 7 p.m. Not, I don't respond to work messages after 7 p.m. unless it's urgent, but I guess this might be urgent, so I'll check, and actually I probably should just respond because they're expecting it. The second version isn't a boundary. It's a suggestion you're making to yourself that you don't intend to follow. Here's what will happen when you start enforcing real boundaries: some people will be confused. They're used to you being available, accommodating, flexible. They'll test the boundary. Are you serious? Since when? That's not like you. Your job is not to convince them. Your job is to remain consistent. Yes, I'm serious. This is what works for me now. And then you stop talking. No justification. No elaborate explanation. No apology for having limits. Some people will adjust. They'll respect the boundary once they realize you're serious. These people value you, not just your availability. Others won't adjust. They'll push harder, guilt you, or fade away. This is also information. People who only valued your usefulness will not appreciate your boundaries. Let them be upset. Their discomfort with your limits is not your responsibility to manage. Research in behavioral psychology shows that inconsistently enforced boundaries are actually worse than no boundaries at all. When you enforce a boundary sometimes but not others, you teach people that if they push hard enough, you'll cave. This creates the exact dynamic you're trying to avoid. Confidence and boundaries are inseparable. You cannot be genuinely confident while constantly betraying your own limits. Every boundary violation you accept teaches you that you're not worth protecting, even from yourself. Start small. Pick one boundary that matters to you. State it clearly. Then enforce it consistently for 30 days. Watch what happens. You'll find that the world doesn't end. Some relationships improve. Some end. Both outcomes are valuable information. If you're ready to protect your peace, claim this: my boundaries are non-negotiable. Principle 3. Develop internal emotional regulation. Here's a hard truth: as long as other people's moods control your mood, you're not confident. You're a passenger in your own emotional life. Most people are emotionally porous. Someone criticizes them, and they're defensive for hours. Someone's disappointed in them, and they spiral into shame. Someone withdraws, and they panic. Someone's angry, and they either match the anger or collapse into appeasement. Your emotional state is determined by the last interaction you had, the last message you received, the last look someone gave you. You're essentially handing remote control of your nervous system to everyone around you. Confident people have reclaimed that remote control. They've developed what psychologists call emotional regulation, the ability to experience emotions without being hijacked by them. This doesn't mean suppressing emotions. Suppression creates different problems: anxiety, physical symptoms, relational distance. I'm talking about something more sophisticated: the ability to feel an emotion fully while choosing your response consciously. Think of emotions as weather. Weather happens. You don't control it. But you do control whether you go outside without a jacket, whether you cancel your plans, whether you let a rainy day determine your entire mood. Most people treat emotions as emergencies that require immediate action. You feel angry, you must express it now. You feel anxious, you must fix the situation immediately. You feel hurt, you must make the other person understand right away. But emotions aren't emergencies. They're information. Valuable information, certainly, but not instructions you must follow instantly. The neuroscientist Jill Bolte Taylor found that the physiological lifespan of an emotion is about 90 seconds. If you simply observe an emotion without feeding it with thoughts or stories, it will naturally rise, peak, and fall within that time frame. The problem is, we rarely just observe. We elaborate. We create narratives. We catastrophize. We turn 90 seconds of anger into 3 hours of rage by repeatedly replaying the triggering event and imagining all the ways we've been wronged. Here's the practice: when you feel a strong emotion, pause. Literally. Stop whatever you're about to do. Take 3 deep breaths. Not shallow chest breathing, deep belly breathing that signals to your nervous system that you're not in immediate danger. Then name the emotion. I'm feeling angry. I'm feeling anxious. I'm feeling hurt. This simple act of naming activates your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for rational thought, and slightly reduces the intensity of the limbic system where emotions originate. Neuroscientists call this affect labeling, and studies show it genuinely reduces emotional reactivity. Then ask yourself, what is this emotion telling me? What need or value is being highlighted here? Anger often signals that a boundary has been violated. Anxiety often signals uncertainty or perceived lack of control. Hurt often signals that something you care about has been threatened. These are useful signals. But they're not commands. After you've acknowledged and understood the emotion, then, and only then, decide on your response. Not from the peak of the emotional wave, but from a place of relative calm. This process might sound mechanical, but with practice, it becomes natural. You begin to notice emotions arising earlier. You catch yourself before you react. You create space between stimulus and response. And in that space, you find power. Not power over others, power over yourself. The power to choose how you engage with the world rather than being swept along by every emotional current. People will notice this quality in you. They'll realize they can't bait you into reactions. They can't manipulate you through emotional pressure. They can't destabilize you by withdrawing their approval. You become like a stone in a river. The water flows around you, but you remain. If pressure no longer controls you, declare this: I am steady. Principle 4. Shift from external to internal validation. Quick diagnostic: where does your sense of self-worth come from? If you're honest, it probably comes from external sources. Compliments, accomplishments, likes, promotions, recognition, other people's approval. This is normal. We're social creatures. External validation feels good. The problem isn't that you enjoy approval. The problem is when you need approval to feel okay about yourself. Because anything external is inherently unstable. People's opinions change. Circumstances shift. Markets fluctuate. Someone who praised you yesterday ignores you today. The crowd that celebrated you last month forgets you this month. When your worth is externally determined, you're on a perpetual roller coaster. And the ride never smooths out, it just gets more exhausting. Confident people have made a fundamental shift. They've moved the source of validation from external to internal. This doesn't mean they don't appreciate recognition or feedback. It means their core sense of worth isn't dependent on it. They know their value when nobody's watching. They know what they stand for when the crowd disagrees. They know who they are when there's no audience to perform for. The psychologist Carl Rogers researched what he called fully functioning people, individuals who operate from internal rather than external locus of evaluation. He found that these people share common characteristics. They trust their own experience, they remain open to feedback without being dependent on it, and they live according to their own values rather than borrowed ones. Here's how you begin this shift. First, identify your core values. Not the values you think you should have. Not the values that sound impressive. The values that genuinely matter to you when nobody's watching. Is it honesty? Creativity? Loyalty? Growth? Justice? Peace? Service? Get clear on 3 to 5 values that feel non-negotiable to you. Write them down. Now, every day, ask yourself, did I live according to my values today? If you value honesty and you lie to avoid conflict, that's a miss. If you value creativity and you spent the whole day consuming rather than creating, that's a miss. If you value growth and you chose comfort over challenge, that's a miss. But if you honored your values, even if nobody noticed, even if nobody praised you, even if it cost you something, that's a win. This becomes your new scoreboard. Not likes. Not external recognition. Not other people's approval. But internal alignment. Over time, something profound happens. You start feeling grounded even when external validation is absent. You start feeling good about yourself based on whether you're living with integrity, not on whether people are applauding. This is freedom. Real freedom. Because nobody can take this away from you. Someone can take away your job. Someone can withdraw their love. Someone can unfollow you. Someone can criticize you publicly. But nobody can take away your alignment with your own values. That's yours. The shift from external to internal validation also changes how you receive feedback. When someone criticizes you and your worth comes from within, you can actually hear them. You're not defensive because you're not protecting your entire sense of self. You can consider whether the criticism has merit without feeling destroyed by it. When someone praises you and your worth comes from within, you can appreciate it without becoming dependent on it. You're not chasing the next compliment because you don't need it to feel whole. Start practicing validation-free zones. Do things without telling anyone. Create something and don't post it. Help someone anonymously. Make a decision you believe in even though it's unpopular. Each time you do this, you're building internal validation muscles. You're teaching yourself that your worth isn't determined by witnesses or applause. Dangerous confidence is knowing you matter whether anyone's paying attention or not. If you're choosing self-respect over popularity, commit to this: I validate myself. Principle 5. Honor small commitments to build self-trust. Confidence isn't built through grand gestures. It's built through accumulated integrity in small, private moments that nobody else sees. Every promise you make to yourself is a deposit or withdrawal from your self-trust account. I'll go to the gym tomorrow morning. If you go, deposit. If you don't, withdrawal. I'll have that difficult conversation this week. If you do, deposit. If you avoid it, withdrawal. I'll spend 30 minutes on that project. If you do, deposit. If you scroll instead, withdrawal. Most people's self-trust accounts are deeply overdrawn. They've made thousands of promises to themselves that they didn't keep. And now, when they set a goal or make a commitment, there's a voice in the back of their mind saying, "Yeah, right. You won't do that. You never do." This voice isn't cruel. It's accurate. It's based on evidence. Your track record. Confident people have rebuilt their self-trust through obsessive reliability in small things. They don't make sweeping commitments they can't keep. They don't promise themselves they'll meditate for an hour every day starting tomorrow when they've never meditated before. They don't commit to running 5 miles when they don't currently run at all. Instead, they make small, specific, achievable commitments. And then they keep them. Without exception. Without negotiation. Without excuses. I'll put on running shoes 3 times this week. Do it. I'll write for 10 minutes today. Do it. I'll send that email by noon. Do it. The size of the commitment doesn't matter. What matters is completion. Because each time you do what you said you'd do, your brain registers, "Oh, I'm someone who follows through. I'm someone who keeps promises. I can trust myself." This creates a feedback loop. As self-trust increases, you feel capable of slightly bigger commitments. You take those on. You keep those promises. Trust increases further. Within 6 months of this practice, you become unrecognizable. Not because you're doing dramatically different things, but because you become deeply reliable to yourself. And here's what's powerful, this reliability radiates outward. Other people sense it. They might not know why, but they feel that you're someone who does what they say. Someone who shows up. Someone who follows through. This is confidence in its purest form. Not confidence that life will be easy. Not confidence that everything will work out. But confidence that whatever happens, you'll show up for yourself. The opposite is also true. Every time you break a promise to yourself, you're training yourself not to trust your own words. You're teaching yourself that your commitments are optional, that your standards are negotiable, that your word doesn't mean anything, even to you. This erodes confidence faster than external criticism ever could. Because external criticism is someone else's opinion. Self-betrayal is evidence. Here's how to rebuild. Make one simple commitment each day. Just one. Something so easy you can't fail. I'll drink a glass of water when I wake up. Do it for 7 days straight. No exceptions. Then add a second commitment. I'll make my bed every morning. Do both for 7 days straight. Then add a third. Build gradually. The goal is not to overwhelm yourself with commitments. The goal is to become someone who keeps the commitments they make. If you miss a day, don't spiral into shame. Don't abandon the practice. Just acknowledge, I didn't follow through. What was the obstacle? How can I adjust? Then resume immediately. The next day. The next hour. The next moment. Over time, your identity shifts. You stop seeing yourself as someone who talks about things and start seeing yourself as someone who does things. This identity shift is everything. Because confidence is ultimately about identity. It's the answer to the question, who am I when nobody's watching? Who am I when it's difficult? Who am I when I don't feel like it? If your answer is, I'm someone who keeps their word, you're unshakable. If you're done making empty promises, lock this in: I honor my commitments. Principle 6. Stop justifying your decisions. Here's something you probably do constantly without realizing it: you explain yourself. Constantly. Unnecessarily. To people who didn't even ask. Someone asks if you can attend an event. Instead of simply saying, "No, I'm not available," you launch into an explanation. "Oh, I wish I could, but I have this thing, and I'm really behind on work, and I've been so exhausted lately, and I promised my friend I'd help them move, and honestly I just need some time to myself." You're not explaining. You're defending. You're seeking permission for your decision to be acceptable. Confident people have stopped doing this. They've learned that explanations often weaken rather than strengthen their position. When you say, "No, I'm not available," you're making a statement. It's clear. It's complete. When you say, "No, I'm not available because," you've opened a negotiation. Because now the other person can address each reason, but your thing isn't until next week. Your friend can find someone else. You can rest after the event. Your boundary has become a debate. The pattern shows up everywhere. I'm changing careers. Why? Because you need to justify it. I'm ending this relationship. Why? Because you need permission. I don't eat meat. Why? Because someone's approval matters more than your choice. I'm taking time off. Why? Because rest requires justification. This compulsive explaining comes from a deep insecurity, the belief that your choices aren't valid unless others understand and agree with them. But here's reality: your decisions don't require consensus. You're allowed to make choices that other people don't understand. You're allowed to have preferences that don't make sense to others. You're allowed to set directions for your life that nobody else agrees with. The philosophical concept of personal sovereignty means you are the ultimate authority on your own life. Not because you're always right, you won't be, but because it's your life to live and your mistakes to make. When you constantly justify your decisions, you're outsourcing your authority. You're asking other people to validate choices that only you will live with the consequences of. Here's the shift: practice clean statements. I'm not available. That doesn't work for me. I've decided to pursue a different path. I'm not interested. That's not something I'm doing right now. Notice the period at the end of each sentence. No, because. No justification. No defensive explanation. Just a clear, calm statement of reality. At first, this feels naked. Vulnerable. You'll want to fill the space with explanation. Resist. Let the silence exist. Let the other person sit with your decision without your help processing it. Some people will respect this immediately. They'll appreciate the clarity. They won't push. Others will push back. Why not? What's the reason? That doesn't make sense. Your response: it's just what works for me right now. If they push further, repeat the same statement. Don't get drawn into debate. This isn't about being rigid or unkind. It's about recognizing that over-explaining is often a form of people-pleasing disguised as transparency. True confidence includes the ability to let others misunderstand you. To let them disagree. To let them think you're wrong without needing to convince them otherwise. Because their understanding is not a prerequisite for your peace. The novelist Zadie Smith wrote, "You can't say A is made of B or vice versa. All mass is interaction." Confidence is understanding that you exist in relationship with others but not defined by their understanding of you. Your decisions can stand on their own. They don't need supporting arguments. They don't need to be defended in the court of public opinion. Make your choices. State them clearly if asked. Then move forward. If someone genuinely needs information to coordinate with you, logistics, planning, practical matters, of course provide it. But that's different from justifying your existence, your preferences, your boundaries. The distinction is intention. Are you explaining because information is genuinely needed? Or are you explaining because you're uncomfortable with disapproval? If it's the latter, practice the pause. Practice the clean statement. Practice letting your decisions exist without decoration. Over time, you'll notice something. People respect you more when you stop seeking their approval through elaborate justification. Clarity is powerful. Knowing what you want and stating it simply commands attention in a way that apologetic over-explanation never can. If you're done seeking permission to exist as you are, state this: I don't need to explain myself. Principle 7. Cultivate selective presence. Final principle, and it might be the most counterintuitive, dangerous confidence includes knowing when not to engage. Modern life glorifies constant availability, constant visibility, constant engagement. You're expected to respond immediately to messages, to have opinions on every current event, to maintain an active presence across multiple platforms, to attend every social gathering, to be always on, always available, always participating. This is exhausting. And it's eroding your confidence in ways you don't recognize. Because confidence requires space. It requires solitude. It requires periods of withdrawal where you're not performing, not explaining, not engaging, just existing privately with yourself. The psychoanalyst Donald Winnicott wrote about the capacity to be alone as one of the most important signs of emotional maturity. He argued that people who can't tolerate being alone with themselves will constantly seek external stimulation, validation, and distraction, which prevents deep self-knowledge. Confident people are highly selective about what they engage with and when. They don't respond to every provocation. They don't argue with everyone who disagrees. They don't attend every event they're invited to. They don't share every thought or experience publicly. This selectivity isn't aloofness. It's intentionality. They understand that attention is finite. Energy is finite. Presence is finite. And where you direct these resources determines the quality of your life. When you're constantly available, you're not actually present anywhere. You're fragmented across dozens of partial engagements, giving 10% here, 15% there, never 100% anywhere. Confident people protect their full presence by being selectively absent. They create zones of unavailability. Times when they're not checking messages, not responding, not consuming, not producing, just being. They let days pass without posting on social media. They let messages go unanswered for hours or days. They decline invitations without guilt. They exit conversations that don't serve them. This isn't rude. It's self-preservation. Consider how different your life would feel if you checked your phone twice a day instead of 200 times. Attended half as many social events but were fully present at the ones you chose. Stopped arguing with strangers online. Created without sharing everything you create. Had experiences without documenting them. Processed your thoughts privately before broadcasting them. The immediate reaction to this list is probably anxiety, but I'll miss out. But people will forget about me. But opportunities require visibility. But I need to stay connected. These fears are largely unfounded. The people who matter won't forget you because you took a day off social media. The opportunities that are right for you won't evaporate because you didn't respond to an email within 2 hours. What actually happens when you cultivate selective presence? Your energy returns. You're not constantly depleted by low-level engagement. Your focus sharpens. Without constant distraction, you can think more deeply. Your relationships deepen. When you are present, you're fully present. Your work improves. You have space for creativity rather than constant reaction. Your confidence grows. Because you're living from your own rhythm rather than responding to everyone else's demands. The author Jenny Odell wrote a book called How to Do Nothing that explores this concept beautifully. She argues that constant productivity and engagement is not neutral, it's an ideology that serves certain interests but undermines human flourishing. Confidence requires you to occasionally do nothing. To be unavailable. To opt out. To exist without an audience. This is especially important in an age of social media where visibility is conflated with value. Where people measure their worth by metrics, followers, likes, engagement rates. But your worth is not determined by your visibility. You can be extraordinarily valuable while being largely invisible. You can live a deeply meaningful life that's not documented or broadcasted. You can have profound impact without public recognition. Confident people know this. So they're not addicted to visibility. They're comfortable existing privately. They don't need constant external confirmation that they matter. Practice selective presence this week. Choose one day to not post anything on social media. Just observe. Let a message go unanswered for 24 hours, even if you saw it. Decline one invitation without providing an elaborate excuse. Create something, anything, and don't share it with anyone. Notice what happens. The world doesn't end. People don't forget you. Opportunities don't vanish. What you gain is something far more valuable, sovereignty over your own attention and energy. If you're reclaiming your time and attention, seal it with this: my presence is valuable because it's mine to give. Closing, integration and practice. These 7 principles: authentic presence, unshakable boundaries, internal emotional regulation, internal validation, honoring commitments, non-justification, and selective presence, aren't independent concepts. They're interwoven aspects of a single quality: self-trust. Confidence is ultimately self-trust. Trust that you'll show up for yourself. Trust that you'll honor your own needs. Trust that you'll keep your commitments. Trust that you know what's right for you, even when others disagree. Trust that you can handle difficult emotions without collapsing. Trust that your worth is inherent, not earned. Trust that you don't need permission to exist as you are. This self-trust isn't built through one powerful decision. It's built through thousands of small choices, repeated consistently until they become your default way of being. The work ahead isn't complicated. But it is continuous. Every day, you'll face moments that test these principles. Moments where you could over-explain or stay silent. Moments where you could betray a boundary or enforce it. Moments where you could seek validation or trust your own judgment. Moments where you could break a promise to yourself or keep it. In each moment, you're casting a vote for who you're becoming. The gap between who you are now and the confident person you're becoming isn't about adding more to yourself. It's about removing what was never supposed to be there: the performance, the chronic self-doubt, the need for external validation, the pattern of self-betrayal. Underneath all of that, you're already whole. Already complete. Already enough. The work is excavation, not construction. 6 months from now, if you practice these principles consistently, you won't recognize yourself. Not because you've become someone else, but because you've finally become fully yourself. The people around you will notice. Some will appreciate the shift. Some will resist it. Both responses are irrelevant to your work. Your job is to keep showing up for yourself. To keep honoring your boundaries. To keep regulating your emotions. To keep validating yourself internally. To keep following through on commitments. To keep making clean, unjustified decisions. To keep protecting your presence. That's the work. Simple but not easy. Straightforward but requiring daily practice. If this message resonated with you, do 3 things. Like this video so it reaches more people who need to hear it. Share it with someone who's been playing small for too long. Subscribe for continued guidance on building genuine inner strength. Your transformation doesn't end when this video ends. It begins when you close this browser and make a different choice in the next moment that tests you. The confident version of you isn't waiting somewhere in the future. That person is here now, underneath the noise, waiting to be remembered. If you're ready to finally stand fully in who you are, write this final commitment: I am enough, exactly as I am. Welcome home to yourself.